Some of the smartest people you know will never be rich. Not because they lack intelligence or motivation, and not because they don't understand how money game works. Actually, on paper, they do everything right. They study hard, build valuable skills, earn decent incomes, and make what seem like responsible decisions. And yet, years go by and almost nothing changes. Their financial situation stays the same, and they're left wondering why effort and intelligence never turn into real wealth. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Intelligence alone doesn't build wealth. In fact, in many cases, it works against it. That's difficult to accept, especially for people who are used to being logical, competent, and informed. Because if intelligence were enough, the world would look very different. The most educated people would be the wealthiest, the smartest people in every company would be financially free. But that's not what we see. Wealth often shows up quietly, built by people who aren't necessarily the smartest in the room, but who understand how money actually works. By the end of this video, you'll understand why being smart doesn't automatically lead to wealth, and more importantly, what actually does. Smart people are usually excellent problem solvers. They know how to analyze situations, think logically, and avoid obvious mistakes. Because of that, most intelligent people end up doing reasonably well in life. They get good grades, secure, respectable jobs, and earn stable incomes. Not extraordinary incomes, but enough to live comfortably. And that comfort is where the problem begins. Comfort delays urgency. So, when your bills are paid and your lifestyle feels acceptable, there is no pressure to change. No pressure to question your habits, rethink your financial structure, or build long-term systems. You don't redesign your life when nothing feels broken. You don't take uncomfortable risks when things feel fine. Comfort doesn't feel dangerous, but it creates inertia. A struggle forces adaptation. Comfort encourages maintenance, and maintenance is the enemy of transformation. Another reason smart people stay poor is overthinking. Intelligent people love complexity because they want to understand every variable before acting. They search for the perfect strategy, the optimal plan, the smartest possible move. They read more books, watch more content, and analyze more scenarios than most people ever will. The problem is that they mistake preparation for progress. Meanwhile, people who are less analytical often start earlier. They take imperfect action, learn by doing, and adjust along the way. Wealth doesn't reward perfect thinking. It rewards consistent action repeated over long periods of time. Most wealth is built through boring repetition, not intellectual brilliance. Smart people often wait for certainty, but certainty almost never arrives. There is always more information to gather, more risk to consider, and more scenarios to analyze. Waiting to feel ready often means waiting forever. Intelligence also increases awareness of risk. Smart people are very good at imagining what can go wrong. They can mentally simulate failure before it happens, see downside clearly and in detail. This awareness creates caution, and caution feels responsible. But wealth rarely comes from certainty. It comes from decisions made with incomplete information. It comes from acting before everything makes sense and accepting discomfort as part of the process. Avoiding uncertainty completely means avoiding growth entirely. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means understanding that progress always involves risk, and that managing risk is different from eliminating it. There's also an emotional dimension that most people ignore. Intelligent people like being right. They enjoy defending their ideas and winning arguments. For them, being right reinforces identity. It confirms intelligence, and ego feeds on that validation. But money doesn't care who is right. It rewards discipline, patience, and consistency. Ego wants fast feedback and visible progress. Wealth grows quietly, often without proof that it's working. When ego and wealth compete, ego usually wins, and most people don't even realize it's happening. Smart people also tend to choose security. A good job, a predictable income, and a stable routine feel intelligent and responsible, and there is nothing inherently wrong with security, but security caps upside. Wealth grows where outcomes are asymmetric, where downside is limited, but upside is open-ended. Stability protects you from losses, but it also limits your exposure to growth. Most intelligent people optimize for safety, not leverage. And leverage is what changes outcomes. Another trap is time. Smart people are often very efficient with their time. They earn more per hour and maximize income through skill. But wealth isn't built by maximizing hourly income. It's built by separating time from money. When income depends entirely on time, growth is capped. There are only so many hours in a day, and intelligence doesn't change that. Wealth grows when effort compounds, when systems continue working without constant input, and when progress happens quietly in the background. This process feels boring, and boredom drives intelligent people away. Wealth isn't built by intelligence. It's built by behavior, simple habits, uncomfortable patience, and long timelines. Doing the same thing consistently, even when nothing seems to be happening. Staying committed without reassurance or immediate feedback. Most people can't do that. They need proof, confirmation, and short-term results. When those results don't arrive quickly, they change plans, quit, or start over. Compounding never gets a chance to work. The real advantage isn't being smart. Plenty of smart people struggle financially, and plenty of average people quietly build wealth. The real advantage is emotional stability, the ability to stay calm during slow progress, tolerate boredom, and resist changing direction too often. Most people are emotionally reactive. They respond to short-term signals and chase what feels productive today, and wealth rewards the opposite behavior. It rewards people who can wait, ignore noise, and stay consistent long after excitement fades. If intelligence alone built wealth, the smartest people you know would already be free, but money doesn't reward who understands it best. It rewards who respects time. Once you truly understand that, you start thinking differently, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. One important detail that often goes unnoticed is how smart people relate to effort. Intelligent people are usually rewarded early in life for being quick learners. Things come easier to them. School rewards intelligence. Jobs reward competence, and because of that, many smart people grow up believing that progress should feel efficient and visible. When something takes too long or feels repetitive, they assume they're doing something wrong. But wealth doesn't work like school or work performance. There are no grades, no promotions, and no immediate feedback. Progress is often invisible for long periods of time. For someone who is used to quick wins, this can feel deeply uncomfortable. It feels inefficient, and that discomfort pushes intelligent people to constantly look for better strategies instead of staying consistent with simple ones. Another hidden issue is identity. Smart people often tie their identity to being intelligent. They see themselves as thinkers, planners, and analysts. That identity feels valuable, but it can quietly sabotage financial growth. When results don't appear quickly, they don't question their behavior. They question the strategy. They assume the system must be flawed because someone smart like them wouldn't choose something ineffective. This leads to endless tweaking, restarting, and abandoning plans before compounding has time to work. There's also a strong link between intelligence and pessimism. Smart people tend to be realistic. They don't fall for obvious hype. They can see exaggerated promises from far away. While this protects them from scams, it can also make them overly skeptical. They dismiss opportunities not because they are bad, but because they are uncertain. Over time, skepticism becomes inertia, and inertia quietly kills long-term growth. Another factor is comparison. Intelligent people are often surrounded by other intelligent people. They compare themselves to peers who appear successful on the surface. Good jobs, nice apartments, stable lives. This creates the illusion of progress. It feels like they're doing fine compared to others. But comparison hides stagnation. It makes slow financial growth feel acceptable, even when it's quietly limiting future freedom. Smart people also tend to underestimate the role of luck and timing. They want outcomes to be explainable and rational. They prefer systems that feel fair and logical, but wealth is not evenly distributed, and outcomes are not always proportional to effort or intelligence. Accepting that can feel uncomfortable. It challenges the belief that being smart guarantees control. So instead, many people ignore this reality and stick to paths that feel predictable, even if they cap potential. Another subtle trap is delayed commitment. Intelligent people like to keep options open. They don't like locking themselves into a single direction too early. They want flexibility, but wealth often requires commitment before certainty. Choosing one path and staying on it long enough for compounding to matter. Constant optionality feels smart, but it prevents depth, and depth is where exponential growth happens. Over time, these small behaviors compound in the wrong direction. Overthinking replaces action. Comfort replaces urgency. Caution replaces momentum. None of these choices feel wrong in isolation. In fact, they all feel reasonable. That's what makes this trap so dangerous. Smart people don't fail dramatically. They stagnate quietly. This is why wealth often looks boring from the outside. It's built by people who are willing to repeat simple actions for years without changing direction. People who don't need constant intellectual stimulation. People who are comfortable being underestimated. People who don't confuse motion with progress. Once you understand this, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Wealth doesn't reward intelligence, speed, or cleverness. It rewards patience, consistency, and emotional control. And those traits are not measured by IQ tests or academic performance.